Welcome to the Week 14 live stream. Starts at RotoWire. Jim Coventry here to help you out, give you all my information so you can make your best decision. Though you'll see the ranking sheet. The rankings are always where I want them, but the green and the red, the green gives a little potential extra upside for those players. Red, I'm still ranking them where they are, but there is some unrealized downside in these circumstances, just so you're prepared for that. Again, the rankings are good where they're at, but you need to sometimes understand player has downside, and we always have to factor that in. All right, getting to the front of the line, the super chat function, and I have one of those. When I see those, I click it. It's a tiny number in the corner of my screen. As soon as I see it, I get there. We'll cover inactives about 11:30 Eastern, and got one super chat question here. John, you need two of P. Wash, probably Parker Wash. Yeah, you guys got to give me there we go. Calvin Austin, Ricky Pearsall, Hollins. So Calvin Austin's actually in a decent spot here. Browns bust a lot of coverages. I want to say off the top of my head that Austin went 3 for 78 and a touchdown when he played him a couple weeks ago. That's not abnormal. Austin's playing, and that's the Browns' weakness. And the Steelers will throw it downfield. All of these guys have a floor of 0. Everyone has a 0 floor, and you know that. But Calvin Austin, based on the matchup, that he took advantage of that matchup when he faced them, stylistically, it is the best of both worlds. That is where my recommendation would go. All right, let's see what we got on the live questions here. All right. Morning, Jeff. Need 3. 2 flex and receiver. Jennings, Thomas, Cooper, Debo, Charbonnet, Allen, Bucky, and Swift. So you need 1 receiver of this group. I am going to probably call Brian Thomas Jr. the receiver here. The fact that we know he's going to get some targets. Do I like the quarterback? No. Jennings, I'm not excited about Jalen Johnson, probably at least half of the snaps being on him. That's a bad matchup for him. I probably still would say maybe Jennings has the best floor of this group. Cooper, look, I love Cooper. I keep wish casting him into getting more work, but and I know the wrist, I know the snow last week. The highest upside of this group, if they use Cooper, would be Cooper, but we just don't know that he's getting targets. Debo looks terrible. His fantasy points have been horrible the last 3 games. He just looks like there's something wrong with him. Charbonnet's in. He gets 20 touches a game back to last year when he subs in for Walker. So the floor is phenomenal. Braylon Allen. I'd probably go Bucky over Braylon. I know, look, he's dealing with a hip injury, but everybody's hurt. And he had 25 carries last week. So I think I'd sit him out of practice too. Very hard to sit Bucky Irving. He's been playing phenomenal. Braylon Allen probably gets volume 2. So that leaves your, like I said, your flex is just like I said. I think Brian Thomas Jr. probably has the best blend of floor and upside. I hate his quarterback. Pure upside play is Cooper. Pure floor play is Jennings. And so that's, I think, we should base your decision on. If you want floor, if you want a balance, or if you want pure upside, that would be your choice for those 3. And that should give you ammo to make your best decision. Jay Red, good morning to you. Need a tight end and a flex. Ferguson, Otten, Komet, Gray. You know what? Ferguson could not have a better matchup than Cincinnati. Cincinnati is one of those teams that's just dreadful against tight ends. And we've seen that Cooper Rush is able to get the ball to the tight ends. And Trey Hendrickson is very good as a pass rusher, but they're not getting much of a pass rush as a team. So Rush should be okay here. And but even if they do, Ferguson's a good outlet. I like Ferguson here. Valdez-Scantling, obviously, he's 4 of his 7 catches are touchdowns. So unsustainable. Could it happen again? Yeah, matchups are right for it, but predicting that's kind of tough. I think Ferguson's your best bet here. Kevin, good morning to you. You need 2 from the following at PPR: Mooney, Tyreek, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, or Thielen. You know, DJ Moore's tough because he has gotten it done since Thomas Moore took over, and I know he's playing through the injury. And again, same thing. Everybody's hurt this time of year, and if he's on the field, my expectation has to kind of be he's ready to roll. And so, you know, I would start DJ Moore here. And Tyreek Hill has, was it like 15 targets over the last 2 weeks? He's getting more. Not that Sauce Gardner's been great, but he's out. And the Jets are kind of checked out. Garrett Wilson, look, the 3 of the last 4 games have been horrible. So, yeah, could he get 30? Yeah, but the last 3 games out of 4, it shows us the floor is horrible too. Mooney, I don't like Mooney's matchup. I didn't like Mooney's matchup last week. It kind of worked out that way. So I'm just very concerned overall. So, you know, Mooney's, I love him, but not here. And Thielen, I like Thielen. The matchup's not good. He should get open, but I don't think he has a potential upside of Hill and Moore because Hill's gotten a couple decent games, as much as we're kind of like cold on him. So if you're nervous about Moore's injury, play Thielen, but I would go with Hill and I would go with DJ Moore here. All right. I got another super chat. So before I get back to Jeff. All right, TJ, you got full PPR, Jennings or Marvin Harrison. Oh, man, that's a rough one, right? Marvin Harrison did very little when he played the Seahawks a few weeks ago. Top of my head, 3 for 47. I could be wrong on that, but it wasn't much more if it was. Jennings, again, I don't like him when he faces probably half the snaps on Jalen Johnson. That's going to be a disaster, I think. But there are snaps he won't be on him. And Debo's been playing well right now. So I think Jennings probably has like a 5-catch, 40-yard floor. I don't think there's a much ceiling beyond that. Harrison Jr.'s floor is a little lower. Again, Seattle's been playing great defensively. I'd probably go Jennings here. I'd probably, even though I think Jennings' floor is enough to give me the shot here. Harrison just, like last week we loved him, and what did he get? It's 5 for 16 a touchdown, which is nice, but in a great matchup, that was all. So yeah, I'd probably go Jennings there. Andrew, good morning to you. Ferguson or Freiermuth? You heard me talk about Ferguson a minute ago. Ferguson could not have a better matchup. I like that Freiermuth's being involved more. I think that's been very positive. 4 and 7 targets in the last 2 games, which has been nice. That looks like the early season Freiermuth targets. But Cleveland's not a great matchup against tight ends. Freiermuth did well against him a couple of weeks ago. I think he had 50-something yards, so he was fine there. But I just think Ferguson is such a great matchup. I think Dallas going to have to throw a lot here. And Cooper Rush should have a little bit of time, even beside the bad line. I'd give Ferguson the edge here. And then Debo, Chubb, Odunze. So your standard. Pick Debo, Chubb, and Odunze. Debo, like I said, Debo looks horrible. I don't see any explosiveness in this game. And if he doesn't have that, there's nothing left. So Chubb's not going to get the 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh last time, but he should get you combined 50 to 60 yards, I think, altogether. They're giving him some volume. Last week they didn't, but they should get back to that here. And then Odunze, I actually like Odunze's matchup. No Nick Bosa means probably no pressure. And I know the corners for the 49ers are good enough, but I think they'll take a couple downfield shots to Odunze, and he's getting some targets. I would probably go with Chubb and Odunze there. And then your last one, Bucky, Rashad, and Gus Edwards. I'd leave Gus Edwards out. Kansas City has gotten weaker against the run over the weeks, but the interior line for the Chargers just can't get any push at all. And Gus is not an outside runner. Could he fall in the end zone? Yeah. Rashad White still gets enough work to keep him relevant. And Bucky Irving, I think at this point, is almost a must start. And again, the hip injury, we don't know what it is, but we assume everybody's hurt this time of the year. And so we just kind of roll with that. If you're able to play, then you're good to go. So I'd go Bucky and Rashad there. And Gus Edwards is just like, if you don't fall in the end zone, there's like no receiving work. So there's that. All right, live question. See where we're at here. We are on, I think Jeff had another one. Ingram or Garrett Wilson. So this one is based on the following. Ingram's going to catch you 4 to 6 passes. He's going to get you 25 to 40 yards. I don't think there's a ceiling. His odds of scoring are probably 15%. So he's a floor play. He'll get you about 8 PPR points, and you'd be fine with that. Garrett Wilson has been bad, but he has potential for a massive game at any time. And if the Dolphins don't get pressure, they're not a big pressure team. They might dial it up, and that might be a problem. But if they don't come in with like a blitz package here, Wilson could have a game. So if you need 20 points, Ingram ain't getting you that. Garrett Wilson can. If you just want that stable floor, then you go Ingram. That's the choice. Ethan, good morning. Half point. Receiver flex. Neighbors, McConkey. Oh, man, 2 injured guys. Slayton, Abdullah. Wait, McConkey could pivot to Hunt, Tolbert, or Vidal, already starting Pacheco. Drew Lock will throw the ball to Slayton, but Drew Lock is stinking terrible. So good luck connecting on those. It'd be a prayer. You'd hope that Slayton gets it. It'd be a prayer. That'd be it. Abdullah, I think McCormick is going to see the lion's share of the work here. Abdullah should see a few targets. Tampa Bay doesn't typically blow teams out. So if they don't, I don't know how much receiving work Abdullah gets. So I would be inclined to go Neighbors and McConkey. Obviously, if Neighbors is inactive, then you kind of got to pivot to Slayton and just hope he gets one play that busts it. He was better with Daniel Jones, believe it or not. The McConkey one, yeah, if he's active, you got to play him, but there is real pessimism as to whether he goes or not. I'll get the super chat in a second. I see it there. So if you could somehow move McConkey to flex, and what you already are doing is you got Hunt, Tolbert, and Vidal. If you somehow could get Will Dissly, he has a cake matchup. That would be a good one. Brandon Cooks, if he's available, would be better than those options of Hunt, Tolbert, or Vidal. Think if there's somebody else. Monday night game, Cincinnati, nobody. Noah Gray would be somebody I'd put above those guys as a pivot. But if you had to go only from that list, I would probably go Hunt. But he might get 5 touches in this game. He might see a scale back workload as we go on week to week. I got a super chat question here, then I'll come back to Ethan. Okay. MC, full point PPR. You got Neighbors, Garendo, Charbonnet, Braylon Allen. I'm sorry, Braylon Edwards. Oh my God, that was back in the Cleveland days, back 15 years ago, probably. If Neighbors doesn't play. All right, so Garendo and Charbonnet are the best blend of volume and than opponent. And there doesn't play, pick 2 of those. So I would go with all 3 running backs. If you have the option to go all 3, I'd go all 3 running backs. Neighbors has Drew Lock, and apparently he's very limited if he plays. So I would just go with the 3 running backs and call it a day, because they all should get volume. And volume's king in fantasy football, and they all should have a baseline here. And Allen will see targets too. So I would go with those 3. I'd go with 3 running backs. By the way, everybody, if you're playing for a fantasy playoff spot, good luck. If you're playing for a bye, good luck. If you're looking to spoil somebody's season, good luck too. But let's hopefully get you through this. And let's get back to the stream questions here. I think Ethan had another one. Ethan, Neighbors, Metcalf, Rashad White, or Shakir? DK hasn't really been getting it done for the most part. I don't know if he is scuffling with injury or not. That might be a little bit of a problem. When Metcalf played Arizona, he went 4 for 59 and only 5 targets. Now he had seen 9 targets in the game around that. So I do think there's a potential. That was just like one of those games where it was low scoring. There's a rematch in a divisional battle. They don't normally play the same way the second time around. I'd be inclined to go with DK Metcalf here. I think his floor is as good as Shakir's, but Metcalf would have the ability to get going here. And I know it's tough to bet on Geno Smith because he throws 1 touchdown like per game. He has like 2 games at more than that, but DK has a good chance of grabbing it, I'd say. So yeah, I'd go with DK and I'd go with Shakir. And I'd go with Shakir as my second one. Rashad White, again, is seeing declining work since the bye. Finally seeing less snaps than Bucky Irving, and the touches are going down. The receptions, only 2 targets in the last 2 games for Rashad. So with the Neighbors injury, I would go DK and Shakir and call it a day. I got a super chat before I get to Unite. Robert, half PPR. You need a running back and a flex. You got Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, McConkey, Judy, and DK. 1 running back and a flex. Man, this is a good one, because in the half PPR, that lowers like Jerry Judy a bit. He always gets like 20 in 5 games back to last year when he subs for Rocky. He gets like 20 touches between the catches and the rushes. He gets red zone work. There's nothing oppressive. Arizona's a good defense, nothing oppressive about it. I'd play Charbonnet, and I would probably go DK as my second, though. McConkey, look, late game, true game time decision. I imagine if Kansas City has half a brain in their head, they put Trent McDuffie on him because there's nobody else who could beat them. And if McConkey's limited, I don't think he could beat McDuffie. That's just me. Judy's been wonderful, but playing Pittsburgh here, and he did well late in that snow game against them. I remember that. But in that game, he ended up, I'm looking at the number right now, 6 for 56, 6 for 85, which was really good. I think in the divisional rematch, Pittsburgh puts a little more attention on him. I'd be inclined to go with Charbonnet and DK. If your gut says Judy, play him over DK. I get it. If your gut says that, trust your gut on that, because Judy did just rip off one of the better games we've seen in a while. So understand the gut call is important this time of year. All right, Unite. Braylon Allen or DJ Moore, Yahoo. That's good knowledge. And so you're a favorite in this game. So basically, you want to take the layup points, which in that case would be Braylon Allen. If DJ Moore is legitimately injured, I don't know that he is. It could be a problem. Whereas Braylon Allen, I don't see any people keep saying Isaiah Davis. Well, he wasn't involved all year, and Braylon Allen was very involved when Brees Hall was there. So you have to think Braylon Allen gets a minimum of 15 touches here. So his floor is better. DJ Moore clearly has a better ceiling because he's been playing well. If that quad is not an issue, he could go off here. And the half PPR leans me to the running back a little bit. For the safety in your game, I'd say Allen is safer. And I always have a bias because, DJ Moore, I just think the world of him as a player, and I just think he could beat anybody at any time if he gets the ball thrown to him. So, but I think, Unite, I think Braylon is really hang on, Max. I got a couple super chat questions here. Randy, Jalen Wright with no Mostert. Oh, are you talking about? You're talking about the guy. You're talking about somebody else. Jalen Wright. Let me see. So, is Mostert out? That's my question. Let me see if I find some on Mostert. I didn't know anything about Mostert being out. I'm trying to check here and see. Oh yeah, I just saw this now. I was eating breakfast while that news must have dropped. It must have dropped after the XM show. So Jalen Wright, he's not going to get a lot of touches. We saw that before when Mostert was out. It wasn't like a lot of touches for him. So, but the Jets are a good matchup, so I've got to give him that. I'm going to look up Jalen Wright something on him real quick because I just don't think they give him a lot of opportunities, and maybe he isn't quite the player they hoped he was, So let's just take a look at him real quick. And he had a 13 for 86 against Tennessee, 5 for 33 against Indy. But in the other games, like 5 carries for 3 yards. These are recent games. 5 for 3 against the Rams, 5 for 4 against the Raiders, 7 for 20 against New England. So if I would say this, I would bank on 5 fantasy points. I would bank on 5 fantasy points. He has 3 targets all season. So he hasn't been, and obviously Achan's a great receiver. I would bank on 5 fantasy points. And I think that's how I would look at that, Randy. I don't know there's upside for more. I don't think they're giving him the ball if they get to the goal. I don't think he's a goal line option for him. So you're desperate with 6 teams off and you don't have a player, then I would take a couple points and call it a day. I don't have high expectations. More super chat questions. Andrew, Jameis or Levis? 10-point bonus for 350. That's funny. 350. Jameis, yeah, right. If the game goes off script wild, you can do some crazy things. I'd be inclined to go with Winston here. The pass rush is going to come. Alex Highsmith's back to go with Watt, but Winston stands in there. And the Pittsburgh corners, Joey Porter's good, but he takes a lot of interference, which isn't going to help your fantasy. But I think that they could get the ball to Njoku, to Judy, to Elijah Moore enough. And Levis is probably, and I know Jacksonville's terrible, I think it's a low-scoring game. I think that neither team's going to have to probably air it out a lot here. I think that game could end up like 16-13 or something like that. Whereas Jameis is going to have to score some points. And Nick Chubb scored 2 touchdowns last time they played. I don't think they're getting a big running game here. So, yeah, I would be inclined to go with Jameis here. If interceptions are if they're more than -1, that could be a little bit of a deal. But I still think overall Levis may not have to throw a lot in this one. All right, let's see what we got here. Ray, Russell Wilson or Stafford? I'm going to go with Russell Wilson here. So they like to throw play action and deep shots. Cleveland busts coverages every week. I don't know what the problem is. They cannot figure out how to stop downfield passing. Calvin Austin burned them last time. I think this could be a game for Pickens as well. Whereas Stafford, I'm a little worried. The pressure is going to be a problem because the Bills get it from across the entire line. And Stafford's interior line has not protected him. And when he's under pressure, he gets real skittish now. Used to not be that way. Back in the Super Bowl year, it was completely the opposite. He crushed when he's under pressure, but that's not him anymore. I'm going to go with Russell Wilson for that reason. The Bills play a lot of zone by nature, and that would benefit him. But they got big corners. I think that's a tougher one for Nakua too. I'm going to go with Russell Wilson in this one. Thomas, win and in. Shakir, DJ Moore, or Jennings. I think your safest floor play in this one is Shakir. Shakir probably gets you 5 or 6 catches, gets you decent yardage. If you're an underdog, you take the roll of the dice on DJ Moore because, again, with the new coach Thomas Moore, DJ Moore has been phenomenal, getting plenty of targets, the game breaker that we know he is. So if you got to swing for the fence here, it's DJ Moore. If you're worried about the injury, which we don't know, I say everybody's banged up this time of year, but we don't know the level. If you just want the safest play, it's going to be Shakir. My own lineup, I'm gonna roll the dice. My lineup, I'm gonna roll the dice on DJ Moore. If he's healthy enough to play, I assume the quad's okay. Scott, Sincere McCormick, Abdullah, or Tajay Spears, and I hope you're well also, Scott. I'm gonna go with Sincere McCormick here. We don't expect Madison to play. We saw that he actually has some juice to him, and it was Kansas City. Their run defense isn't what it was. I get that. So that wasn't, it used to be a tough matchup. It's not anymore. Tampa Bay's good against the run. They're not lights out. Spears has been a tough call. He'll get some touches, but he hasn't been overly effective. The injuries, I think, concussion, I think things have taken a toll on him. Abdullah, I don't know the Bucs are going to get a big enough lead where Abdullah's going to catch a ton of passes. I would tend to go with Sincere McCormick here, and he has the best chance of finding the end zone of these three, too. All right, let me go back to the live questions. Thanks for using that super chat function. We appreciate that. All right, Max. Appreciate you listening to all the shows, Max. It means a lot. Standard scoring, double check, Carr over O'Connell. I like Carr this week. The big deal for Carr is Dexter Lawrence is out. And so you got Brian Burns on one side, you got Kayvon Thibodeau on the other. They're good passers. They're better when they got Thibodeau because Thibodeau collapses the pocket, and teams got to worry about him. And therefore, the edge rushers get less attention. But now with no Lawrence, I don't think there's a pass rush. And Carr may not have a lot of weapons, but if he has time, he's a really good quarterback. I know I just said Derek Carr's a good quarterback, but he is. They use play action, they use rollouts, they use all that stuff already. And without Dexter Lawrence, I like him. O'Connell, Tampa Bay's going to send a lot of blitzes. And yeah, he'll throw some quick stuff out to Jacoby and Bowers, but I don't think a downfield game is going to develop here. So I'm going to go with Carr. Yeah, Kamara's going to have a game, but I still think they're going to be able to get it done both ways. So trust your gut. If you're worried about it, Max, trust your gut. You know this stuff. You're good at this. So trust your gut. If you're worried about that, because I have Kamara having a big game too. I think Carr gets 2 touchdowns here. But I guess the big answer is I'm not optimistic about O'Connell in this matchup. I know the Buccaneers struggle against tight ends and their corners aren't great. But again, the blitz, I think, is a problem for O'Connell. All right, YouTube user. Let me tell you more super chat here. No, I got him. All right, good. All right, YouTube user. Half PPR. 1 of 3. Rashad White, Travis Etienne, Braylon Allen. All right, I think Braylon Allen gets the most volume of this trio, and volume's king in fantasy football, so we go with that. Look, Etienne, I want to say he had 3 catches in each of the last 2 games. I think it was 3 for 6 one game, and the other game was like 10, 12 yards. They just don't scheme him into space. It's a horrible coaching job there, and he splits work. Rashad White, at least, is on a team that has great run blocking. So there's that. And the Raiders are a good run defense, but the Bucs have really done well. And now White only has 2 targets in the last 2 games, 1 and 1. I still go with Braylon Allen, Rashad White. Trusting Etienne is just, the floor is just so low, and White has been very involved. And then 2 or 3 at receiver, you got Tyreek, Evans, and Pickens. You know what? I can't sit Mike Evans. Cannot sit him. His quarterback loves throwing to him. The matchup could not be better. The Vegas is down 2 corners. Jacorian Bennett's on IR. When they move in the slot, Nate Hobbs is out. It should be a great spot for Evans. Pickens in a great spot. He didn't blow up against Cleveland. So there's that second half snow game. But Cleveland, again, I don't think those corners match up well with him. And they blow coverages. So that Pickens has a great chance for a long touchdown. Tyreek has a similar floor to the other two, but I don't think Tyreek in this current state of the Dolphins offense has the upside that Evans and Pickens potentially could have here. Unite. Hopkins, Waddle, Worthy, or Cooper. So with the Chiefs, I expect them to be in a lower scoring game with the Chargers. The Chargers are really small up front. So I expect that you see 2 and 3 tight end sets. I think Kansas City runs the ball at that light front, controls the clock. So I don't know how much they're going to pass here. Hopkins had 9 targets last week. I don't think they're going to throw a lot in this game. I think it's low scoring. So I would probably fade the Chiefs receivers. Waddle's come to life. What do you have? 4 for 40 last week in a heavily weather impacted game, but he had a 9 target game 2 weeks ago. He is a part of this thing. The Jets are down Sauce Gardner. Obviously they're, and they're going to get him the ball enough. So Waddle's your floor play. Waddle has the best floor. If you got to swing for the fence, like I said this before in the show, wish casting Amari Cooper. But we saw the first week he was there. For the amount of snaps he played, was like 18. He had a bunch of targets. So they want to use him. But he had the wrist injury, and then last week was the Snow Bowl. So Cooper's your upside play because they want to get him going. And the Rams are not going to have an answer for him. But I can't guarantee they're going to throw him the ball a ton. So Waddle's your floor play. If you got to swing for ceiling, then I'd go Amari. Max, you need 3. Lamb, Brian Thomas, Harrison, DJ Moore, Valdez, Scantling. I won't sit Lamb. He's clear to the injury report. The Bengals are a bad pass defense. Lamb's going to get plenty of targets. He can break a play at any time. Of this group, I'm not sitting DJ Moore. Healthy enough to play. We'll check inactives in 10 minutes. So we'll go with DJ Moore here. He's playing at such a high level with Thomas Moore, the offensive coordinator. Your third one, if Valdez Scantling got 7 catches in the last 3 games, 4 of them are touchdowns. Yes, he could do it again. He could do it again. And the matchup is favorable against the Giants. Deonte Banks, not a great corner. He's out. No pass rush. So it's very possible. He'd be the boom bust play for the third one. If you want a better floor play, I'd be inclined to go with Brian Thomas Jr. Again, not excited about the quarterback, but he gets his targets and he is a star and he can easily beat the secondary he's facing. So that would be it. If you want the floor for the third, it's Thomas. If you want to go boom bust, then it'd be Valdez Scantling because he can do it. This is a game where he could hit another big play. Delroy, half PPR. I click that back here. Delroy, half PPR. London, JSN or more. London's in. I didn't see how many snaps he actually played in the slot last week, but they only played about 30. He had to be 40-something last week. And I think against Minnesota, we're going to see more of the same. He's just getting so many targets, you can't sit him. JSN did well against, I'll tell you in a second what he did, against Arizona a couple of weeks ago. Smith and Jigba had 6 for 77 and a touchdown. DJ Moore's tough to sit. And I keep telling people, so here's the thing with Moore. I assume he's well enough to play. But if you have an excellent secondary option who's healthy, like this one, I'd go with JSN. Because his floor is super high. He can have a ceiling game. And just in case Moore isn't quite right, you got a great option. That's when people have lesser options that I'm going to say DJ Moore every time. But you got a great option. So you just go with those two. I'd hate to see DJ Moore go off on your bench, but both of your other players can go off too. So I think that's where we kind of draw that. Got a super chat question here. Then I'll get back to Jay-Z. Hey, that's a famous name. All right. Let's see what we got here. Mace, full PPR. You played Gibbs on Thursday. All right. Running back, 2 receivers, and a flex. So you need 4. You have Connor, London, Higgins, and Pollard in. Would I put in A.J. Brown, Jacoby Myers, or So Kenneth Walker is inactive. He won't play this week. So that's a decision you don't have to make. One running back. See, Pollard's in a great spot. So you all know I love James Conner. I think he's one of the better running backs there is. He played this defense a couple weeks ago, 7 carries for 8 yards. He did catch 5 for 41. So he got a little bit done there. Seattle's really getting better on defense. Now, is it possible Arizona figures something out and attacks them better? Yes, but this isn't a great matchup. Now, A.J. Brown doesn't get a ton of targets, but I would play A.J. Brown over Conner here. I would play A.J. Brown because even if he gets 6 targets, that could be 80 yards and a touchdown. So I would play him with London, Higgins, and Pollard. Jacoby Myers, always a good option. Less than 100% worries me a little bit for him specifically. High floor, and then Walker. So I would play A.J. Brown over Conner, and you guys know I love Conner. So for me to say that, it means something, I think. All right. Back to the live question. I'm on Jay-Z. All right, good morning. You need to sit 1 in a standard. Debo, Shakir, Devontae Smith, Neighbors. So I will put it this way. Inactives are coming out 5 minutes from now, and I know you asked this question a long while back. If Neighbors is active, I would sit Debo because he has been horrible the last few weeks. He's not right. There's something up with him. Obviously, if Neighbors is inactive, then he's obviously he's out. So that said, I'm going to sit Debo. Just is doing nothing right now. And the Bears defense does not look like a get right spot. Unite, I'm going with Caleb Williams here. You heard me talk earlier about Stafford and pressure and the Bills having across the board pressure. Caleb Williams has been great in his 2 weeks. And I know the first half stunk against the trip, but he got it done. And Caleb Williams against San Francisco, no Nick Bosa is huge. And this is not the 49ers defense of years past. But with no pass rush, Caleb Williams could really be lethal. He's been running too. Kevin, you need the following in a half PPR: Ford or Madison. Madison's not expected to play. Disley or Cole Kmet. I'm going with Will Disley. The Chiefs purposely don't defend the middle of the field, like with tight ends. If they have an elite tight end, they might do a little something. They're not going to put a game plan to clamp down on Disley. And they're going to have to score some points. And with McConkey, maybe not able to play, but if he is, maybe very limited. I think Disley has to be involved in this one. It's a beautiful matchup. I would go with Disley here. That's coming off a goose egg last week, too. I get it. Delroy, Calcaterra, Sanders, Fant, or Ingram. Ingram has the best floor. Calcaterra had a pair of 8-point PPR games in cake matchups when Goddard was out. This is another cake matchup. Lazy analysis says he gets another 8, and he might. But I don't know how much they have to run the ball. I have to pass the ball here. They might run the ball so successfully in Carolina. There might be like 15 pass attempts. And they've had games at 19. It's going to be a 15 pass attempt game. So I would go with Ingram for the floor. I would just take the floor points and call it a day. Ingram will catch 4 to 6 passes, 30 to 25 to 40 yards, and that probably gets it done for you. McCormick, Abdullah, or Corum. I got to go with McCormick here. I do think he's going to lead the backfield. Corum was up to like 30% snaps. Was it last week? It was up. A few more carries. But against Buffalo, I don't think he's going to see as much work. I'd give McCormick the edge. Mike, good morning to you as well. Full point PPR. Neighbors or Braylon Allen? Yeah, you know what? And Braylon Allen should get a lot of volume here. Miami's not anything crazy lights out against the run. He'll get some Allen will get some targets too. I think in this scenario, because Drew Lock already is going to drag down Neighbors as it is. So I would take the safety of Braylon Allen, assuming you're getting 15 touches, and hopefully 3 of those are targets. And I would go with him for that. And obviously a chance to score a short touchdown is clearly in play here. Vinny, good morning to you. Neighbors, Myers, or Tracy? I threw a little shade on Myers in a previous one, but there were some really that was with like A.J. Brown and players like that. So that's just a different stratosphere. I think Myers still catches you 5 to 6 passes there. O'Connell gets it out quick. The blitz will be coming from Tampa, but I think the high floor in the PPR, Myers is your floor play. Tracy had 9 carries last week, 70% of the snaps, 9 carries week 4 on 40%. That was after he got punished for fumbling. The Saints on paper are a great matchup. They play a lot harder since Darren Rizzi started coaching them. They're actually making better attempts to tackle. That was their issue, where they couldn't tackle. I still think Myers has a high enough floor to say go with him. That's what I would go with here. I would consider Tracy more of a boom bust. I think you have a running back they could find the end zone. Actually, they could find it twice. So boom bust would be Tracy. High floor would be Myers. I'd go on that. Everybody, if you need to skip the line because of time, the super chat function gets that done. I don't know how to do that, but people smarter than me have figured that out. And the other thing is, remember the ranking sheets on the screen. Anything with red, I have the player ranked appropriately, but I see some potential for extra downside to be concerned with. Any player in green, where they're ranked is good, but I see a potential extra upside with that as well. And inactives will be coming out soon, and I'll be checking those as we go and answer from there. All right, Mike. Judy, Garrett, Wilson, or Garendo? Garendo's going to get volume here. No Trent Williams, the left tackle. That's brutal, but the Bears are not good against the run. So Garendo's volume should be fine here. I'm going to give Judy the floor edge over Garrett Wilson. He's going to catch passes. He's going to catch 6 passes probably. And that's a good. Garrett Wilson had 3 out of 4 games have been terrible. If you have to swing for the fence on this one, Mike, and you need to get like a huge game, I don't think Judy gets a huge game against Pittsburgh. If you need a huge game, you could roll the dice because Garrett Wilson could get you like a 4. But if somebody can get you a 22, 24, it'd be him. But Judy's floor makes the better play, and Garendo for floor as well. And you're welcome, Mike. Thank you. I might have another super chat. Let me check before I get to Andrew. Yeah, I do. Jarrett, you didn't put a question with that, and I'm not going to be able to find it. So yeah, when you guys do that super chat, you got to attach a question because I probably have hundreds of questions sitting in the live, and I'm never going to be able to find it on the other end. So if you have a question, I don't know if you can put a penny on there or something, but do that. And I don't know how you could do that, but Andrew, good morning to you. Guillotine League. You need a flex from Connor, Tracy, Lamb, London, Pickens. You need 2 flexes. So, basically, London, you can't sit London. His floor is so high and his ceiling is super high. Lamb is the next safe. Cincinnati is not a good pass defense. And they get him the ball quick, and he's clear to the injury. Pickens has great upside. But I don't think he has Lamb's floor. You could make a strong case for London and Pickens here because Pickens could go off. Cleveland busts coverages every week, and Pickens goes downfield. So there's that. I just think in your guillotine league, your safest one is Lamb. Tracy, again, I just said New Orleans is playing a little better defensively. And Connor, 7 carries for 8 yards. He did go 5 catches for 41 against Seattle a couple of weeks ago. I just think Seattle's defense right now is playing at a pretty high level. So that's how I would look at that. I got another super chat before I get back to Vinny. Fabian, Charbonnet or Najee? Ooh, that's a good question. Najee is funny last week. And I thought, by the way, I didn't recommend Najee to a lot of people last week. Najee had 3 inefficient weeks in a row. And in theory, he had a bad matchup last week. And he came through at flying colors, had a great game. Najee Harris is like the real deal. I mean, he's for fantasy, he's cashing. I think the volume between Charbonnet and Najee is close. And so Najee's, they both see receptions. Najee may have had 6 targets last week, top of my head. Charbonnet obviously is going to get the goal line work. Najee gets some of it. Sometimes they bring Warren in. So it's super tough on this one. Charbonnet's matchup, middling. Arizona's not great. They're not bad. Najee's matchup, Cleveland's pretty good against the run. Let me see what Najee did against them in the Snow Globe game last week. I'll tell you, let me just check that real quick for you. In the Snow Globe game, Najee went 16 for 41, 2 catches for 13 yards. And a lot of that was when the weather was good. Cleveland is a very good run defense. I'm going to give Charbonnet the edge. If your gut says Najee, trust it. Because, again, last week he had a bad matchup and he went off. Ferguson or Disley. So both have great matchups. So I'm going with the better player. I'm going to go with Ferguson. They both have great matchups, but and like both have bottom 3 tight end defenses. But Ferguson maybe needed more. And I think there's more shootout capacity in that Dallas Cincy game. So I like Ferguson better than Disley. All right, back to Vinny here, I think. Let me see here. There you go. Vinny, you need one. Elijah Moore, Odunze, Hawkinson, Hubbard, or Thielen. It's a good problem to have. These are very, very close, as you obviously know by putting this down here. I do think Adam Thielen's going to get his targets. I know Philly will shorten the game. Philly should have a lead. Secondary receivers do a little better than primary receivers, but Thielen, he's not teams don't treat him like a primary because he moves into the slot a lot. So I do think Thielen has a good matchup here. I think you're up. So I think he has the best floor. Hubbard didn't see any targets last week. Brooks saw 3 of them, and Philly's great against the run. So I think Thielen's your best floor play. I think if you got to go boom bust, Odunze could have a game, but it's risky. It's really risky. But I do think in Odunze's matchup against the 49ers with no Nick Bosa, I think the Bears have time to take a downfield shot. Williams does like taking shots, but it's risky. So Thielen, in my mind, would be your floor play. Winston or Mahomes? That's a good one, too. My worry with Mahomes in this game is that I think it's very low scoring. I think the Chiefs can power run because the front of the Chargers is small. And if they power run, they may not have to throw a lot. Winston, Pittsburgh has a great pass rush, but Winston stares it down. And they probably have to score some points here. Crazy as it sounds in my rankings, where do I have? I'll tell you in a second where I have them. So on the rankings, we got Mahomes at 8 with downside, and we got Winston at 15. The downside's real with Mahomes. I still think there's a world where Winston could have an implosion game. That could happen. I would reluctantly go with Mahomes because Mahomes probably could run for 25 yards here. But that's a gut call one there. It's that close. Like I said, there's downside, but I do have him ranked significantly higher. Eagles D or the Bucks D? I got to go with the Eagles D here. Bryce Young took advantage of a KC team that can't cover lately, and last week the Buccaneers, they can't cover. It's a different animal. And Bryce Young holds the ball too long. So I think the Eagles get some sacks here. I'm going to go with the Eagles. What do you got here? Would I start Kyler Murray against Seattle or Stafford against Buffalo? So Murray threw for 285 when they played them 2 weeks ago, but he didn't find the end zone. The fact they played 2 weeks ago, at least they know what to expect from Mike McDonald's defense. And I think that potentially gives Murray some opportunity to do some things. I'm worried about Stafford because that Bills pass rush is across the board. It's not like one guy. And that's exactly what Stafford's problem this year has been. I'm giving Murray the edge here because this Murray, after I ask him, he knows he can't run away from Devon Witherspoon. We saw that. But I think he can run for some yards in this game. So that gives me the edge here. JKM, Purdy, Darnold. I'm going to go with Darnold. When Darnold's not pressured, he's very good. I don't see Atlanta getting pressure on him. They can't pressure, and the Vikings line is good. Geno needs garbage time. Not going to get that here. Purdy, bad matchup. I'm giving Darnold the edge here. Believe that or not. Sam Darnold. Jennings, Hopkins, or Wandale. I've loved Wandale all season, but I don't know that I love him with Drew Lock. Drew Lock likes to throw the outside receivers, and that did show to be true against Dallas. And that's a problem. I'm going to go Hopkins here. I don't think he gets a lot of targets, but if they're going to get a red zone one, he probably gets it. So I'm going to give, and I don't like Jennings' matchup so much. At least half the time he probably sees Jalen Johnson if the Bears decide to move him. That could be a long day for Jennings. So I'd give Hopkins the edge here. I guess I'd call Jennings, I used to call Jennings a boom bust, but I think the floor is low. So if you got to swing for the fence, I don't think Hopkins has a huge game. If you need a huge game, you need upside. You need upside. So I'd play Jennings because it's boom or bust. Whereas Hopkins, I don't think they throw a lot. So I don't think there's big upside there. I got another super chat, and then I'll come back to Jeff. OG Bobby, receiver and a flex PPR. Oh, that's funny. Somebody just asked Jennings and Hopkins a second ago. Garrett Wilson, Bucky Irving, DeAndre Swift, Zach Charbonnet, a wide receiver and a flex. So for the flex, look, my assumption is Bucky Irving is fine enough to play. After 25 carries, they had to put him on the injury report, something, because that's what they do this time of year. You got to rest your guys. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the house, but it's really hard to sit Bucky Irving right now. So then you need to flex beyond that. And you need a wide receiver. So the receivers, what I just told the last question, but we got Garrett Wilson in here. So in terms of these, I think Hopkins has the highest floor again, but I think your boom bust play is Garrett Wilson. He had terrible in 3 of the last 4 games. But again, if Miami's not a great pressure team, and if Miami doesn't like sell out on a blitz package, which I don't know that they'll do, Wilson could have a game. So Wilson's your boom bust here. Hopkins is your floor play. He probably only gets 5 or 6 targets, but he probably catches them all, and he has a decent chance to score. All right. Let me see. Oh, and I got another super chat here. Got John. 2 of Keon, who is game time. Let me check. While we're at it, before I answer, let me check the injuries here and see what I can come up with for them. If there's any word on these players, that'll help. All right, let's see what we got for this. Any inactives? The important time of the show. Oh, George Pickens is inactive against the Browns with a hamstring. Massive news. Mike Williams, if you're in a desperate situation, Mike Williams could, I have no idea, but Mike Williams could move into a volume role. I would take a shot if you're desperate, because Cleveland blows downfield coverages. Also, Calvin Austin, 3 for 78 and a touchdown against Cleveland, I believe, a couple weeks ago. That's off the top of my head. I think that's right. Calvin Austin becomes a real play here. We knew the Vikings would beat out Stephon Gilmore, which is very good news for the Falcons. Not that he's a great player, but they got to take a downgrade. Malik Neighbors is playing. He is definitely playing. He is active. So they said the report was he could be limited, but I still think he catches you 6 passes, say 45 yards, good PPR game. Don't know how many points he scores, so a touchdown might only be like 15, 20%. So there's that. We knew Breece Hall was inactive, so nothing there. Bucky Irving is playing. We didn't question that. We knew Cedric Tillman was out with the concussion again. Hopefully the young man heals up soon. And as of right now, and we said earlier, Keon Coleman is a game time decision. So, John, to answer your question, good timing on this. We're going Calvin Austin. Again, all those blown coverages by Cleveland, it's a real problem. And Calvin Austin already torched them, and they're going to need him in this game now. Alexander Madison, for those that weren't sure, is inactive. We kind of expected him not to play, but for those that didn't know, we're set there. Oh, I have another super chat. Jarrett, PPR, you need 4. Braylon Allen, Zach Charbonnet, Amari Cooper, Jacoby Myers, or Jennings. So we definitely want Braylon Allen and Zach Charbonnet in for volume. After that, here's how we're going to look at this. Jacoby Myers is probably a lock for 5 or 6 catches, even on the ankle. The ankle might limit his upside a bit, but I think the floor is great. So I think we see him as the floor play. Of the last 2, here's what I would recommend you to do. If you want a safe floor, probably 8 to 12 PPR points, even though he's going to see Jalen Johnson probably half or so, Juwan Jennings would be the floor play for that one. If you need to swing for upside, again, Cooper's wrist has to be better. He's been back, but they obviously had the snow globe game last week, and then we had, where somebody say they don't need him. Against the Rams, they're going to score some points most likely. I think Cooper has real upside here, but we haven't seen it. And so if you just want the safe points, you go with Jennings. Otherwise, if you want to swing for upside, I'd bench Jennings and go with Cooper. But yeah, so it's Braylon Allen, Zach Charbonnet, and Jacoby Myers otherwise. All right, back to the live questions. All right, see if I can find my spot. It kicked me down here. I'll find it here. I'm close. Give me a second here. Any more inactive? Let me check here. Let me go back to player news. Sauce Gardner, we knew is not playing. We've already talked about that. Oh, and Steve Lindor reminds people to hit the like button. Thank you for that. All right, let me see here. I'm trying to find these questions here. And you're good. I think I'm on Jeff Sills. There you go. All right. You got a couple must-win leagues. One is Herbert or Murray. So I said earlier, Murray threw for 285 against Seattle. No touchdowns. He threw the pick 6 2 weeks ago, but they played them. And this time they're at home. Herbert, McConkey, we don't know if he's playing. He's a true game time decision. And Kansas City might not be playing well, but I think they can handle Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston. So my guess is you go with Murray here. Herbert, we saw last week, when they don't have a rushing game, no J.K. Dobbins, they have to be perceived as one-dimensional. You don't have to worry about the running game at all. Gus Edwards and Kamani Vidal are not going to hurt you. So you can put more attention on the pass game. So I would go with Murray here. Swift, Braylon Allen, or Chuba. Swift has a good matchup. Again, I'm assuming the injury was he's able to play, so I assume he's good to go. Braylon Allen probably gets similar volume to Swift. Braylon Allen is a little tougher of a matchup. Chuba Hubbard did not get a target last week, while Jonathan Brooks got 3. The touch, I think it was 12 carries for Chuba, but Brooks cut into it, and the Eagles are a wicked matchup. The 49ers are terrible against the run, and Nick Bosa is out. Nick Bosa is an excellent run defender. I'd be inclined to go with Swift for floor, highest floor. If you got to go boom bust, then I would consider Braylon Allen because he could fall in the end zone twice. He could see 4 catches. But Swift is a much easier matchup. But Swift hasn't been great. Swift has not been great. But this is a good matchup for him. 49ers are really awful against the run right now. But again, I would go with your gut between Swift and Braylon Allen. I would go with your gut there. But again, Swift for floor, Braylon for boom bust. All right, let's see. Lindorphins is next. Happy Sunday, absolutely. You have to bench 1.5 PPR. Neighbors, Judy, Braylon Allen, Najee. Oh wow. These are very good. These are all very, very close. I would be inclined to sit Neighbors due to the fact the report came out that his role would be limited. And he has Drew Lock, which is a limitation of its own. Whereas Judy is going to get targets. Braylon Allen's going to get volume. Najee's going to get volume as a runner and a receiver. So I would reluctantly bench Neighbors due to that situation. Which tight end would I prefer rest of the schedule? Henry or Ferguson? Oh, man. Obviously, Ferguson at this point is a better player, but that doesn't matter for fantasy. Henry has been amazing in almost every game with Drake May. And I know, man, that Austin Hooper is a fly in the ointment with 4 targets every week, but Henry gets his. I'm going to have to say Henry because of the rapport he's had with his quarterback. And it continues almost every single week. And I got to go with that. Ferguson's a better player, but for fantasy, yeah, I would probably bet on Drake May more than I would on Cooper Rush. Great question. Lee, good morning to you as well. PPR, Connor, Jennings, Keenan Allen, Garendo. You need 1. Oh, thanks for the XM show. Listen to the XM show. I appreciate that, Lee. It means a lot. Keenan Allen's been like stinking unstoppable with Thomas Moore as the OC. Was he had like 23, 24 PPR points in 2 straight games? And it's not like the 49ers are going to really have a big answer for him. He is what he is. He gets open fast. He's not the same player he was, but he's clearly showing he can do that. Hard to go away from Keenan Allen. James Conner, 7 carries, 8 yards. Last time we played Seattle, he did go 5 for 41 through the air. Jennings probably sees quite a bit of Jalen Johnson, as I said earlier. Garendo, good matchup. I think Patrick Taylor plays some snaps here. I would go Keenan Allen in full PPR. I would go Keenan Allen. If you got a gut feel on Garendo, he could break a long run. The Bears give up big runs. They give up big run plays. No Trent Williams at left tackle. That hurts. So I see Garendo as a boom bust, but Keenan Allen's been money 2 games in a row, and I don't see it changing. So I'll go with him. I got a super chat before I get back to Lee. Fabian, Braylon Allen, Smith and Jigba, Hopkins, or Waddle. It's really hard to go away from Smith and Jigba. Smith and Jigba has been putting up very, very strong weekly numbers. It's been insane how good he's been. And when he played 2 weeks ago against Arizona, 6 for 77 and a touchdown. Even in a bad game against the Jets, 4 for 74. He's had monster games recently. I like Braylon Allen. Hopkins probably doesn't get a lot of targets. I think it's a lower volume game. Waddle, he had that one big game, but not enough. I'm going to go with Smith and Jigba. He's playing at a great level every stinking week, and Arizona is not a tough matchup for him. So I'm going to go with that. Let's see if there's any other inactives here. Jalen Coker, we knew was not playing, so easy enough. David Moore just keeps seeing some targets. So they're playing Philly. It's a bad matchup. But again, if you got to scrape the barrel, David Moore probably gets you 3-4 catches, probably gets you 25 to 40 yards, probably. So there's that. Devontae Smith is playing. We knew that, so that's good to know. As how many passes Philly throws, another thing, but I think you get Devontae Smith in your lineup. He can get a big play at any point, so there's that. All right, left up on Lee. Jennings or Allen? I got to go to Allen here. Volume should be big. You've heard me already talk. I think Jalen Johnson plays on Jennings enough to slow him down. And Allen has potential at the goal line, too. Steve, point per completion, 6-point touchdown league. All right. Wilson, Winston, Cousins, Caleb. I like Caleb Williams here. Caleb Williams under the new OC, and I know the first half against Detroit was horrific, but no Nick Bosa. That means a lot. They're not going to have a pass rush like at all. And if Caleb Williams has time, he's been running for yardage, been throwing it up with success. I would go Caleb. I would go Caleb here. I know the completion thing is real, but how many passes Kirk Cousins completing? Russell Wilson, they want to run the ball. Jameis Winston, I guess Winston could complete a ton of passes here. He could. I still would go Caleb Williams in this one. If your gut says Winston, trust it. Definitely trust your gut if it says Winston. Got another super chat. Randy, thank you, Randy. Yep, yeah, George Pickens not playing crazy. Like just a repeat for those that just got here. Definitely, if you're like a super stuck in a league, Mike Williams is a player you could add in this one. He could do something here. He could jump into a role. He's been with the team enough weeks. You should know the offense. Calvin Austin becomes a much better option. 3 for 78 and a touchdown against Cleveland a couple weeks ago. I think I said that a couple times, but it's public service announcement, of course. Thank you for that, Randy. Appreciate you, man. And then let's see here. And then I guess thanks, Steve, for telling people to hit the like button. Notifications, great. We're on this channel frequently. RotoWire Fantasy Football YouTube. Depending on when you're on. If you're on the Fantasy Football YouTube, my shows are there. Our shows are great on the regular YouTube as well. But you get them all. Subscribe to them all. Love my RotoWire teammates. I'm on a great team. Be very blessed to be a part of that. Lee, one more. Jennings, half PPR. Jennings' neighbor, Marvin Harrison. Harrison didn't do much against Seattle. I think it was like 3 for 47 when he played him last time. I think Jennings is your boom bust play. I think he's your boom bust play because, again, I don't like the matchup with Jalen Johnson when he, again, not every snap, but he's going to play on him enough. So it makes him boom bust. I think Harrison may have a better floor than Jennings in this one. So I think he does catch 5 passes here in the rematch. But there's not much upside with Harrison. So if you need the big upsides, Jennings. Neighbors, just because of the limitation that the reporter says, and maybe the reporter's wrong. He's going to play a limited role. And then Drew Locks, like I says, limitation as well. So there's that. Rahindra, 2 questions. Yeah, full point PPR, Pacheco, Warren, Etienne, or Abdullah. And you need 1. Warren typically gets good volume. So there's that. When Warren played against the Browns a couple weeks ago, 11 for 45 and a touchdown, 3 catches for 19 yards. It was a very effective PPR day. I don't know how much work Pacheco is going to get, and I think he played like 38% of the snaps last week. My guess is they're ramping him up for the playoffs. Can Pacheco hit a big run? Yes. If he's only going to play that light of snaps, Jalen Warren, and I know Jalen Warren often will go that, but he'll see targets. Pacheco's your boom bust. He's your boom bust because if they decide to give him a lot of work and to go from 38 to 70, he'll crush. I don't know if they'll do that. Warren is your highest floor play, so he's the safest. But if you got to go for big ceiling, it'd be Pacheco. And then if Neighbors cannot go, Njoku, Liget, or so among this group, I think you're fine. Probably sticking with Neighbors, and Njoku is definitely defensible because he gets a lot of targets. But I think I would still go with Neighbors in the spot. But Njoku is super close. Michael, more on you as well. Running back, receiver, and a flex. Myers, Hopkins, MVS, Tracy, Garendo, Charbonnet. Should you even bench Tyreek? Oh, so if Tyreek's in this equation, I would actually make him the receiver. I would make him the receiver over because if you look at his box scores, he hasn't been terrible. He's just not what we expected. Last week, 6 for 83 and a touchdown. The prior week, 5 for 48, not great, but he had touchdowns in the 2 prior weeks. He had 80 yards the game before that. So I think that Tyreek fits well as your wide receiver among that group. If you don't go with him, I think Hopkins has a similar floor to Myers. You can do that. But if you have high Tyreek Hill, play him. And then I would use running backs as your other two. And I would go Charbonnet for sure. He's in the 5 games he started since last year for Walker, he gets like 20 touches and he catches the ball. So I'd play him for sure. And then I'd go Garendo over Tracy. I 4th percentile broken tackle rate, scary. No Trent Williams is scary. The Bears are not a good run defense. I think Garendo probably gets more volume than Tracy. Tracy had 9 carries last game. If he didn't fall in the end zone, it was a disaster. The Saints are playing much, much better on defense with Darren Rizzi taking over. They weren't tackling. They're tackling better now. So that's how I'd look at that one. All right, let's see what we got here. Steven, need a quarterback out of these. Stafford, Winston, Rush, or O'Connell? I'd probably go Winston here. Rush is close. Winston, I know, is going to throw it. He's going to throw a ton. I know that. So there's that. That Cooper Rush game shoots out with Cincy. Could be a lot of volume for him. O'Connell, I think he's going to get blitzed a lot by Tampa. I think that's going to be a problem. Stafford, the pass rush, I think of the Bills is going to be a problem. I give Winston a slight edge over Cooper Rush, but if your gut says Rush, roll with it. If you're more than -2 for an interception, then go with Rush because Winston's going to throw a couple. Oh, I got a super chat before William. Hang on. JKM, non-PPR, you need 2. Rico Dowdle, Bucky Irving, and James Cook. So Bucky Irving Rico Dowdle, my mind, is fairly predictable. If Dallas is going to lead in a game, he's going to get about 20 touches, and he's going to be fantasy gold. If they trail, you're getting about 10 to 12. And that's what it's been. And last week, we loved them. I don't think they're going to lead Cincinnati. And I think the game script's going to hurt him. Bucky Irving's well enough to play. He's been fantastic. I can't sit him. James Cook, I have him listed as, I don't know if I listed him on the sheet as extra upside because I have him at running back 7. You can't really say running back 7 has upside because he's running back 7, but I have him as 7. So I'm going to go James Cook and Bucky Irving there. I just don't think, again, I don't expect Dallas to lead, and that hurts Rico Dowdle. All right, let's see where we're at here. And did I answer yours? I answered yours, so I'm on William. All right. TD heavy plus yard scoring. DJ Moore, Juwan Jennings, DeAndre Hopkins. So as I mentioned earlier, I do think Juwan Jennings is very boomer bust. I don't like his matchup, but he's in a good passing offense. DJ Moore's playing limited, but maybe not as limited as we think. I would tend to go with DJ Moore. He's getting a ton of targets. The 49ers aren't going to get a pass rush. Nick Bosa's out. The corners are good, but DJ Moore's been schemed up, like wide receiver screens that are well blocked. I'm going to trust DJ Moore, but again, I would trust DJ Moore here. And then Jonnu Smith or Kelsey, got to ride Jonnu Smith. He's a real part of that offense. Teams got to worry about Hill and Waddle. They got to drop coverage. They want to get the ball out of Tua's hands quick so he doesn't get hurt. Jonnu Smith eats. Travis Kelce, there's some games he gets a lot of targets, but Jonnu Smith's been a better fantasy player. I'm going to go with Jonnu. Steve, so Calvin Austin and Ferguson are close. I think Ferguson has a high floor. Cincinnati's very, very poor against tight ends. I think Dell's going to trail and they're going to have to throw. Ferguson has a good floor. Calvin Austin has boom bust potential because I always say this, Cleveland has the propensity to blow coverages. But how many targets does Austin really get? So Ferguson's a high floor safe play, but I still think Austin could get a big play. So he's your boom bust play. He gets a long touchdown. He cashes for and he beats Ferguson, but it's risky. Especially with Pickens out, maybe a little better coverage, but they blow coverages. But Cleveland does it every week. So that's it. Ferguson's your safe play. Austin's your boom bust play, and Pickens is out, as you know. But not when you ask the question, because you asked it before, inactives. Enough said, too. Purdy or Russell Wilson. I'm going Russell Wilson here. I don't like the Purdy matchup against Chicago. Trent Williams, the left tackle, is out. That's a massive loss. That's their really, well, the right tackle, Dominic Pooney's pretty good. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson, even without George Pickens. I think Mike Williams can step in and do okay here. William, TD, heavy league, 1 point for 25 rushing pass yards. Murray or Levis. Murray threw for 285 against Seattle. They didn't get a touchdown in the first meeting. They're at home this time. They played them, so you think they make adjustments. I think even the last time was 16-6, and it was a defensive touchdown for Seattle. I think there's more scoring in this game. I'm giving Murray the edge here. I think Levis is in a potentially low-scoring game with Jacksonville, and I think they'll be happy to keep it that way. I'm going to give Murray the edge. All right, next question. Let's go Buffalo. Thank you. Harrison or Allen? I think Allen has a higher floor. Harrison, loved him last week, and was it like 570 and a touchdown? It was good, but it wasn't. He had 12 targets. That was all he got, so that wasn't real. And he didn't do well against Seattle. I think it was 3 for 47 last time, and Seattle's doing real well in coverage. So I'm going to give Braylon Allen the high floor edge here. Harrison hasn't had very few ceiling games. So Allen, hey, you could fall in the end zone once. You could fall in the end zone twice. You got that potential. I'd give Allen the edge here. Lauren, Jim Cooperman, need 3. PPR, Harrison, Metcalf, Mooney, Cooper, Pickens is out, and Quentin Johnson. Metcalf is in. I don't like Mooney's matchup. Love Mooney. Love him. Don't like his matchup. Minnesota's going to send the pressure, and I think it's Drake London who eats. I would go in this case, and you just heard me talk trash on Harrison, but in this group, I'd go Metcalf. Harrison should have a floor, and I would go Cooper. I think, again, we're speculating. Cooper didn't have to get used last week. It was a snow globe game, and it was a blowout win. When he was healthy, the first time they had him, they involved him in 18 snaps. So I'd play Cooper as the third one. Sleek, good morning to you. Stafford or Jameis? I'm worried about Stafford against the Bills. I just think that pass rush is going to be a problem for him in this game. I'm going to go with Jameis. Matt Valley, Najee or Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones has not had as many great games we'd like to have seen. Atlanta's decent against the run. Najee didn't do very much against Cleveland. Cleveland's a very good run defense. I think Aaron Jones gets more touches. I'm going to give Aaron Jones the nod here. Najee played great last week. I didn't see that one coming. He had been inefficient for 3 weeks. I'm going to give Aaron Jones the edge here. And look, Aaron Jones, Atlanta's very good against pass-catching running backs, but they run Jones on, like, actual routes sometimes. So I think that's not just, like, the standard screen pass thing. So, yeah, I'm going to give him the edge there. Start 2, Pollard, Garendo, DK, Devontae, Braylon Allen. I love Pollard's matchup this week. And when he gets volume and he gets a matchup, he tends to play really well. I think the highest floor of the remaining would probably be DK Metcalf. He should be healthier now. I would probably go DK Metcalf as my second one. The floor is close for Allen and Garendo, very close. But I think DK in full PPR gets a bit of an edge there. Him and Pollard is the way I look at that. Matt Rashad White has 2 targets in the last 2 weeks. That really caps things. They made Bucky Irving the receiving back now. That was White's biggest value. And then Bucky gets more goal line work. I go Hopkins. Hopkins is a higher floor, I think, here. Murray or Mahomes? I have them close in the rankings. Murray at 5, Mahomes at 8. I have them both with downside potential, so that's a little bit unnerving. I think Arizona is going to need their quarterback more than Kansas City. I think Kansas City's going to have to use their power running game, and I don't think the front of the Chargers can hold up to it. So I'm going to go with Murray for a little more volume here. Let me check if there's any other inactive news here. Let's see what we got here. Titans, nothing special there. Jaguars, nothing special there. All right, I think we're in good shape there. Rich wants to know Connor or Charbonnet at flex. Everybody knows I love James Conner. Think he's the best, but he had 7 carries for 8 yards against his defense 2 weeks ago. He caught 5 for 41, so there was that. That was very good. But Charbonnet, again, I said this before, 5 games he's played since last year for Walker. He gets about 20 touches in each game, and he catches a bunch of passes. Charbonnet has a higher floor than Connor. Connor could go off at any time, even against a bad opponent. Connor's a little more boom or bust, though. He has a lower floor. If you want the safest floor, it's going to be Charbonnet. If you need to go boom bust and risk a lower floor for potentially a little more ceiling, then I would look at Connor. Oh, I got a super chat, Randy, before I get to you. All right, we got Fabian. Yeah, banged up neighbors, Elijah Moore, Calvin Austin, Sterling Shepard, and then Ray Davis or Gus Edwards. Start with the running back. Ray Davis has upside if the Bills run out to a blowout lead. And it can happen. But the Rams are like the most unpredictable team on the planet. They show up when you don't expect them to. But Gus Edwards, on the other hand, are we looking at 9 carries for 38 yards? And I guess he could fall in the end zone. If they do get the ball in the 1, he could fall in the end zone. Edwards at least has bankable volume for what it's worth, and Davis doesn't have that, so I got to go with Edwards. If you have to be very risky for boom bust and risk a 0, but if Davis gets 7 carries, he could do a lot with that against this Rams team. So there's that. But Edwards is safer. At receiver, the highest floor is Elijah Moore. He's catching passes. Very simply, he's catching passes. Calvin Austin has upside here. Pickens is out. Cleveland blows coverages every single week. Austin torched him for 78 and a touchdown last time they played. So I would go Elijah Moore if you want your high floor PPR. If you want to go for swing for ceiling, because Calvin Austin could do nothing at any time, but he is in line for a potential game here. He'd be your boom bust play. All right. All right, so Randy, where are you now? Rank these running back stashes standard, rest of schedule. I would put Kendre Miller 1 because Darren Rizzi said, well, he's not in my doghouse. Miller's talented. They can't give Kamara as many touches. They got to give Miller some work. I put Benson 2 just on the sheer idea he better not get hurt. But James Conner hasn't got hurt this year yet, and this would be the first year ever he didn't. And then third, they keep saying Breece Hall is going to come back. So I guess I'd make Jalen Wright 3rd and Isaiah Davis 4th, because if Breece Hall comes back, Isaiah Davis has no value. Ryan, would I trade Ayuk for Higgins and Dynasty to win now? Well, yeah, to win now for sure. Because Higgins, my gosh, Higgins is getting more targets to chase every week. I figure that one out, but he is. Check the box scores on that, and it's unreal, right? Yeah, I would do that. In long term, at this point, are either of them durable, right? So yeah, I would make that trade. All right, next one. Charbonnet, Warren, Braylon, Brian Thomas. Pick 3. I'm going to go with 3 running backs. Warren will see receptions and rushes. Braylon and Charbonnet should see high volume. Love Brian Thomas. Love him. But he's saddled with a crap quarterback. Bad quarterback. Sorry, I said that. With a bad quarterback. So I would go to 3 running backs and take the high volume. Any of them could go off. So there's that too. So I would go with the volume. Dylan, long post. Let's see. Full PPR quarterback. I would go with Cooper Rush in this one. I think that Dallas has to score some points and the Bengals can't defend the pass. Juwan, Freiermuth, or Knox. Juwan has a brutal matchup. Otherwise, I would love him in any decent matchup. I'd love him. Freiermuth's had targets the last 2 weeks. He actually ate up Cleveland for 58 yards, I think, 2 weeks ago. I think he's becoming a little more part of the offense. I'd go with him, especially with Pickens out. He might get a little more love. Wide receiver flex. Westbrook-Akine, Devontae Smith, Braylon Allen. All right, I'm going to go Braylon Allen for volume. Here's your second one. The floor play is Devontae Smith. He has a high floor. Don't know what ceiling you're examining to the pass. Your boom bust is like Westbrook-Akine. He has 20 catches. 40% of his catches are touchdowns. Unsustainable. But he's done it 7 of 8 weeks. Could be 8 of 9. Matchup's not scary. So there's certainly that. So that's how I'd look at that. But I would say Devontae Smith is your floor play. You got to really feel like it's like going to the roulette table and betting 0, 0, 0. And Westbrook-Akine has hit 0 7 out of 8 weeks. It could hit again. But probability tells me it won't. They do target him downfield, so there's that. Average target's pretty significant. All right. Oh, you got more. Hang on. I don't do kickers. Sorry. Kickers are all luck, and I have none. So you don't want me to guess your kickers because I will get it wrong every time. Ralph. Braylon Allen or Hubbard? I'm going to go Braylon Allen here. Hubbard didn't see a target last week. Jonathan Brooks saw 3. I think Jonathan Brooks is going to be their pass catcher. Hubbard is a horrible matchup. Allen is probably going to get carries, receptions, hopefully a goal line carry. I'll go Braylon Allen. And I've loved Hubbard. Hubbard's been great all years. And last year he's been great too. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me just see where I got questions-wise. Okay, I can handle this. Yeah, I think we got 30 minutes, so we're in good shape here. It looks like we're in good shape. And I got some spam on here. Oh, you got to love some good old American spam, don't you? All right. Or maybe not. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to step with the pace a little bit. Most of these guys I've talked about already. If it's somebody I haven't talked about, I'll spend a little more time on this. But if you've listened, you've kind of heard my breakdown on these guys. All right, Ridley, Brian Thomas Jr., or Hopkins. I like Ridley here. I think Ridley has the highest blend of floor and ceiling. I don't think Hopkins sees enough targets in this one. Oh, I answered that one already. All right, let's see what we got here. And then Neighbors. Did I just answer that already? You're the same one, but you have another. Oh, you got Neighbors in there. Need 2. All right, we are going to go with Ridley again. I'm going to go Hopkins slightly over Neighbors, since Neighbors is supposed to be limited. You've got Herbert kind of freaking out. You pick up Levis and play him over Herbert. It's a good question. And I am worried about Herbert this week. I am very worried about Justin Herbert this week. I'm ranked 7 with downside, but I probably should even lower them beyond it. But I don't like any of those quarterbacks on there. Levis is a tough one, though, because I think they're going to run a lot. Here. And I think Justin Herbert could run for 40 yards in this game on his own. I wouldn't go to the path of Levis. That's too far. I think that's too far. Irving, Connor, Garendo, running back in a flex. Irving and Connor. Garendo has a 4th percentile broken tackle rate. No left tackle Trent Williams. The Bears are not a good defense, but man, with no Trent Williams, I don't know where the holes are going to be. Connor at least went 5 for 41 through the air against Seattle last time, so you don't need any rushing yards. You got that. Yeah, Connor and Irving. Dave, Pollard and Connor currently going to Pollard. If we do pick up, nobody wants 2 Titans. Right? Pollard and I maybe not getting the question. Pollard and Connor are great. I have Pollard. I think Pollard will have a better game than Connor. Ranking wise, I have 8 and 9, but I have downside for Connor. But James, PPR added bonus of 100 yards. Najee or Garendo. Najee is a brutal matchup. Garendo, you just heard me talk about him. I'm going Najee. Najee will catch the ball. I know he didn't do well against Cleveland in the last game, but man, last week he had a bad matchup and did great. I'm going to go with Najee. If your gut says Garendo, please trust it. IDub morning sit one, DJ Keenan or Hopkins. Oh man, do I really want two Bears? That's the question. Do I want two Bears? But they're both playing so well. I don't think Hopkins gets a lot of targets here. And that's the problem. I think they're going to run a lot. I don't think it's going to be a high volume passing game. I got to go with the Bears. If points are points, and points tell me that DJ and Keenan are probably better off than DeAndre Hopkins. So there's that. I got Keenan. I got him way below them in the rankings, rightfully so too. So, all right, David, tough spot. Need to start two: Kelsey, McConkey, Connor, Najee, and Ridley. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I would like the Kelsey McConkey to be one of your spots because we don't know McConkey's playing, but they both play in the same game at night. So you start McConkey, but if he's inactive, you got your pivot to Kelsey. I think that's the way to go with it. And then for your next one, super close. Najee and Connor have tough matchups. Ridley has a much easier matchup. Hard to fade a running back here. I would go with Ridley. I think Ridley does enough in this matchup against a bad secondary. Connor is boom bust. Ridley would be your play, but if you got to go, Ridley's a floor play. He's a high floor. If you got to go boom bust, Connor has a lower floor because the bad game against Seattle, but I think he does have potential to have that game because he's James Conner. He can always make something happen. So Connor's your boom bust play. It's a great question. Juwan Jennings or Garrett Wilson? Wilson's been brutal 3 of the last 4. I think Juwan Jennings is a higher floor. I think he gets you about 10 PPR points. I think Jalen Johnson's on him enough to make him slow down. Garrett Wilson is a much lower floor, but Garrett Wilson, if Miami doesn't get pressure, they're not a great pressure, he could go off. So if you got to swing for defense, you need a big game out of your receiver, you go with Wilson. If you could tolerate about 10 PPR points, then go with Jennings and call it a day, and don't worry about the low floor of Wilson. Gary, I think Allen's floor is at least even with Ridley's, and I think Allen is more likely to score a touchdown, and the volume's big. I'm giving Allen the edge there for that reason. Otten or Ferguson. Otten's targets have gone down since Mike Evans came back. Jake Ferguson has a beautiful matchup, and I think Dallas is going to have to score some points. I like Ferguson there. Dragonfire, Chubb or Edwards or White? I know Chubb scored 2 touchdowns against him. He's not going to do that again. Gus Edwards, the interior line gets no push. Rashad White, 2 targets in the last 2 games. I'm giving Nick Chubb the slight edge here. He has the greatest chance of scoring a touchdown. Otten or Hubbard? Hubbard is a higher floor. I'm going to go with Hubbard. I don't think Otten has a great ceiling here. Anthony, good morning to you. Homer or Isaiah? That's where we're at, right? I think Isaiah Davis has a better chance of getting more touches than Homer. And the Bears play later. I still don't discount the fact that the Bears elevate Darrington Evans, and then Homer stays a special teams guy, and Darrington Evans comes in and sees the work in the backup. So I'm going to go to Isaiah Davis for that reason. I know the fantasy community doesn't agree with that one because Homer's name is next on the depth chart, but there's that. James, Bowers or Kittle? Oh, man, yeah, first world problems. I love that. Look, Bowers has as easy a matchup for a tight end as he could have, and they're going to have to throw. I got to go with Bowers here. The Bears is a middling matchup. Yeah, I would go with Bowers. Matchup couldn't be better. Good question. Drew Lock didn't throw the ball to Robinson. I don't think he likes throwing to the middle of the field. I think he likes throwing to the outside, and that hurts Robinson. I'm going to go with McLeod here. Gus Edwards, just could he fall in the end zone? Yeah, but it's a tough stretch. I'm going to go with McLeod as the best floor of those groups. Chad. Oh, man, good to hear from you, Chad. Yeah, I know. I always like to see you around. I'm glad you're here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Damon, Jameis or Russ? Yeah, it's a good one here. George Pickens being out kind of changes. As my rankings obviously won't reflect that because I can't change them in mid-flow. I think with Pickens out, I'm going to go with Jameis. I'm going to go with Jameis here for that reason. John, who's Smith or Trey McBride? Trey McBride caught 12 for $133 against Seattle 2 weeks ago. I don't think they're going to have an answer for him. Smith's been great. I can't sit Trey McBride. Westbrook Akine or Rashad White? That's a good one, too. I'm going to go Westbrook Akine. 8 of his 20 catches are touchdowns, unsustainable, but he's on the field every play almost. He often gets 6-ish targets. White has 2 targets in the last 2 weeks. I guess I go Westbrook Akine. Wow. Didn't think I'd be saying that. I'm like fade the touchdowns. That's what I've been all about, but I can't really argue with you. All right. Jarrett, Braylon Allen, Zach Charbonnet, or Cooper need 2. Allen and Charbonnet are your best floor plays. And they both have potential ceiling because both have the chances to score. So I would, since Cooper hasn't had a high volume role with the team yet, it's hard to bet on it with 2 good options. I'd go with those options. Pedro, good morning to you as well. You're behind by 24. Here's the thing, Pedro. Murray did throw for 285 against Seattle last time. I know he didn't get a touchdown, but he did throw for 285. And that was a road game. Seattle's a tough venue. At least they're at home this time. And they have game film from the game they played against them. So if they come up with any wrinkles, really what's Levis's upside? I see Jacksonville, Tennessee like as a 16-13 game. I just don't see it scoring points. And if that happens, there may not be that much there. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. It's your playoff spot. Trust your gut. I'd go with Murray. Scott, Braylon Allen, Khalil Shakir, Marvin Harrison. All right. I think Allen's floor is going to be higher than both of them. And Braylon Allen has the best chance of scoring a touchdown. So I'd go with Braylon Allen. John, Russell Wilson, or Murray? Yeah, like I just said, Murray did throw for 285. And that gets lost on everybody. You just heard me break it down, so I won't break it down. You just heard me do that, John. If George Pickens was playing, I would have probably gone Wilson. But with him out, that limits him a bit. I'm gonna go with Murray for that reason. When you asked the question, you didn't know that. Oh, I got a super chat question. Hang on, then I'll get back to Danny. Anthony, your whole team is injured. Oh man, it's been a season, hasn't it? And I appreciate you, man. Thank you for. So you just came by to say happy holidays, Anthony. You're the man. Appreciate you. Happy holidays to you and yours. Next season's gonna be better. Hopefully, I can help you better next year. But you'll do it on your own. You're a smart dude. Thank you. It was very nice of you to do that. Very nice of you to do that. All right. Where am I at on my question? I think I'm on Danny. Yeah, exactly. I'd go Braylon Allen for the floor. She's going to get a lot of volume. I'd be stunned if Braylon Allen to get 15, 18 touches. And to me, that's got to be enough. It's better chance of scoring a touchdown. So, yeah, that's it. Warren, Debo, or McCormick. PPR. Because of the PPR, I'm going Warren. Warren should catch passes here. Sincere McCormick, I don't think he's going to catch much in the way of passes. Debo, look, he just doesn't look like himself. And right now, his fantasy output's been like nil. So you got to go with Warren there, I think. And then Brian, Mooney or Harrison. I'm going to go with Harrison here. I don't like Mooney's matchup. But with the way the blitz is going to be coming, Kirk Cousins is probably going to have to get it out to the middle of the field more. And Mooney doesn't go there enough. He does do some slot snaps, but not enough. Harrison Jr. at least had 3 for 47 against Seattle a couple weeks ago. He's got to do at least that, you'd think here, right? I'll go with Harrison here. Lex, Jawan Disley, Knox, I'm going with Disley. Chiefs really don't bother with defending the middle of the field against tight ends. They just kind of let him go free, and they're not going to game plan for Disley. Juwan Johnson has a rough matchup. Calcaterra had a pair of 8-point games in favorable matchups. I think Disley could beat that. Gray is always in play. Knox would need a touchdown. I think Disley's your best chance. I think he has the best floor ceiling combo. Chris. All right. Full PPR, start one. Running back in the flex. Pacheco, Swift, Chubb, JSN, Wilson, or Thielen, and you need a running back and a flex. I'm going to go with Smith and Jigba as the flex. His floor and ceiling combos have been insane, and I want to say he had about 20 PPR points against Arizona a couple of weeks ago. It's like 6 for 77 and a touchdown. So I like that floor ceiling combo better than Wilson and Thielen. And then for your running back, I think Swift has the highest floor. He's been terrible, but he has a matchup this week. The 49ers can't stop the run, and Nick Bosa's out. Pacheco, we don't know his workload. 38% of the snaps last week. Chubb scored the 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, but again, he hasn't had 60 yards in a game yet. So there's that. So Swift would be your floor play. If you got to go boom bust and hope that Pacheco they ramp his workload way up, he'd be the upside play. But if they don't, 38% of the snaps ain't going to cut it. So Swift to be your floor play, Pacheco be your boom bust play. All right, Chelsea, good morning to you as well. Full PPR flex. Hubbard or Garendo? Just the fact that Hubbard didn't get a single target while Brooks got 3 last week. The fact that Hubbard may be moving out of that passing down role. Brutal matchup against Philly. Garendo, I worry because left tackle Trent Williams is out, but the Bears are not good. The Bears give up big plays to running backs, and I think that kind of breaks the tie. I'd give Garendo the edge there. Anthony, Tua or Hurts? I can't bench Hurts. He may not throw a lot, but he could run in 2 touchdowns. Tua's been playing well. Tua's been doing great. Divisional battle. Those always get me a little, because as bad as the Jets have checked out, are they going to check out against the Jets? I mean, against the Dolphins? It's a divisional matchup. Those always get me freaked out. Hurts has such a high floor. And I think, look, they could drop 30 points in this one. It's a good call. And I got Tua as my 6. I'm ranked really high. But Jalen Hurts with that running ability, I'm going to give him the call there. Trust your gut on that one, Anthony. If your gut says Tua, go with it. Quincy, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, so you need 6. Kyron Williams, Tracy, Braylon Allen, Kupp, Debo, Jennings, Lamb, and Mooney. All right, so you need 2 receivers. We're going with Kupp and Lamb. We need 2 running backs. We're going with Kyron and Braylon Allen. And then you need 2 flexes. Debo's look terrible. Mooney, I don't like his matchup. I guess Jennings is for a floor play, and then Tracy for a floor play. Those would be the last 2 for that one. Dan, this one's close. You just heard me talk about Chuba a minute ago, and I'm not really changing my stance on that. But Sincere McCormick, how much of a ceiling does he really have here? That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I'm probably giving Sincere McCormick the edge because I think Jonathan Brooks may be a little more involved than he has been with each passing week. And since he wasn't catching passes, if Brooks the passing down back now, Hubbard could get game scripted out. I'm going to go with Sincere McCormick there. Let me make sure I don't have any super chat questions here. No, I'm caught up. Okay. All right. Joseph, 12-team standard, clinch a first-round bye. Who to start through the playoffs? Bucky Irving or Joe Mixon? Through the playoffs. Honestly, it's got to be week by week. I don't have the full schedule in front of me right now with the show being 15 minutes left and a lot of questions. I can't really do that. You can hit me up at Jim Coventry NFL during the week, and we can do that. But off the cuff, I'd say Bucky Irving, but it would be matchup dependent. It wouldn't hurt to do the backup thing if you need a handcuff. It wouldn't hurt. All right, I'm going to lightning round these last questions because we got to get everybody out. We got 15 minutes. I'm just going to give you the answer. Again, I broke down these players already for you. We are going with Chubb in that one. Chelsea, full PPR. Charbonnet, 1 receiver, 1 flex. Charbonnet. Going with Charbonnet and Metcalf for that one. Dre, Going with Shakir. Scott, need 1. We're going with Braylon Allen for the high floor. Charlene, good morning. Good to see you. OG, Odunze, Moore, McLeod, or Lockett. I'm assuming you mean DJ Moore, and we'll roll with DJ Moore here. Chris, Keenan Hopkins, Thielen, Neighbors, and Debo. I will go with Thielen here as the floor ceiling combo. Charlene, you got a wild card spot. Very, very nice to hear that. Chris, last one. You need 2 and a flex. Higgins, Tyreek, Evans, Metcalf, Odunze, and Chubb. So you need 2 and a flex. So you need 3 of these. Higgins, Evans, and Metcalf are the 3 for me. Javier, Ferguson and Disley both have excellent matchups. I'm going to go with the better player in Ferguson. Tom, good to see you. I'm going with Braylon Allen. I think he gets more volume than Tracy, who had 9 carries last week. Survivor pick, the Vikings or the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals there. Dr. Alberto, need to play 2. Pacheco, Najee, Chubb, and Chuba. Going with Najee and Pacheco. 12-team standard. Clinch first round bye. Oh, we answered that one already. All right. Quincy, 2. Oh, my gosh. So, how many do you got here? Kyron, so you need 7. Kyron's in. Kamara's in. Bucky's in. Braylon Allen's in. Harrison Jr.'s in. Myers is in. And I'm giving Velda Scantling the edge over Westbrook. Those are your 7. Jarrett, Jennings or Amari Cooper? I'm going with Cooper. I don't like the Jennings matchup. We'll go Cooper there. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Didn't they score off the rails in the last game on the Thursday night? I don't remember that. It seemed like maybe there was a lot of scoring in that one. Chelsea, which defense? Cardinals against Seattle. Thank you for listening to the opponents. Titans against Jacksonville. Buccaneers against Las Vegas. Saints against the Giants. I am going to go with the Saints. They're playing much harder under Darren Rizzi. Cap for life. I'm going with Disley. The matchup is beautiful. They're spammers. Yep. Stafford or Geno. Oh, man, that's a rough one. I already told you I don't like Stafford, but I like him more than Geno. We know what Stafford. Mooney or Devontae. Going with Devontae. I don't like Mooney's matchup. Braylon, Shakir, Harrison. Braylon Allen. David Moore, Trey Tucker, or Ricky Pearsall. I'm going to go Trey Tucker here. Connor, Garendo, or Irving. Wow. I'm going with Irving. I'm going with Irving. I'm not worried. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not worried about the injury. Scammers, spammers. Yeah, I love it. Jay Smiles, Odunze, Garendo, Tracy, Neighbors, Brian. I like Pollard here. Pollard is a great matchup, and he rarely gets those. Answer that already. Jeff, I think McCormick gets you 60 yards here with a 35% chance of scoring a touchdown. I like him better than Etienne and Vidal. John, Gesicki, Keon, Parker, Wash. Ooh, you're right. Woof. If Keon plays, put him in. And then I would put him with oh God, I put him with Gesicki. That's a rough one. You're right. Connor, Jones, Garendo, Allen. Jones. And this is gonna hurt because I can't think of who Jones is. Sorry, Austin. I a million questions. I just re-asked the question, put which Jones you want. I can't have time to think about which one it is. I probably only one, and I'm just not thinking about it. Kyron, Kamara, or Bijan, pick 2. Got to sit Kyron here. And I know Bijan is a tough matchup. I know that the Vikings are great against outside zone. I think the volume's there. Not that I trust the Jets, Wilson or Cooper. Wilson has more upside, but he's had 3 brutal games. So Cooper is unsafe as Cooper's been. I think Cooper is safer. So if you want, he'll get you like 8 to 12 PPR points probably. Wilson, again, complete boomer bust. All right, let's see. Tom. Yeah, I still can't sit Hurts. If they're going to score 30 plus points, he'll be involved in it somehow. And I trust your gut, and I get it. Darnold throws 2 touchdowns every week. Yeah, Austin went 78 yards and a touchdown when they played 2 weeks ago. The Browns always bust coverages. Austin's boomer bust because you don't know what he's going to do, but I do think he does get a big play in this game. It's just that matchup, and they're going to throw deep. All right, Eric, Harrison, Waddle, or Worthy. I'm going with Wadley. It's a similar floor to Harrison Jr., but we've recently seen a ceiling game, and he's getting targets. All right, Dan, appreciate you. Evan Ingram and Will Dissly. I like Dissly. Dissly has a great – the Chiefs don't defend the middle of the field, and this is a Dissly week. Moore, Washington, or Mike Williams. Trust DJ Moore among those group. I would start Waddle over Debo. John Anthony, I love that movie. Bucky, Charbonnet, or Rico pick 2. I'm going with Bucky and Charbonnet. When Dallas leads, Rico's great. I don't think they lead her. I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr. there. I like Swift's matchup. Swift is a higher floor, though. Swift does a higher floor. Swift is probably getting you 14. So Swift's a higher floor. Just go. Yeah, I'm going to trust the floor. I don't think Thomas Jr. is that great of a ceiling. I'm going to waffle. I'm going to go to Swift. Jawan Jennings, Keenan Allen are 2. I'm going with Keenan Allen. He's been amazing with the new coach. I'm going with Garendo for volume on the next one. Purdy or Herbert. I'll reluctantly go with Purdy. I would start Calvin Austin over Cooks. Charlene just picked. You love Calvin Austin. He's your guy. I remember that. Chelsea, full PPR. Pitts, Freiermuth, Gesicki, Juwan Johnson. With Pickens out, I think Freiermuth, he saw 4 and 7 targets last week. I'd go with Freiermuth. I'd go with McCormick in this one, Dale. I don't Bucks simply don't blow teams out, so Abdullah may not see as many catches as we'd like. I think I got a super chat. Let me just make sure. No, I don't. Okay, let's go to live questions. Chris, you lied one more. Cooper, Austin, Odunze, Swift, or McLeod. The best floor of this group is Swift. The best boom bust would be Cooper, but I would trust Swift in this one. Adams or Mooney? I don't like Mooney's matchup. I'd go Adams. Brad, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Amir Abdul. I'd go with Dissly. Great matchup for Dissly. Mark, Otten, Harrison Jr., Shakir. Shakir has the best floor, and I think he may even have the best ceiling of this group, so I go with him. Brad, appreciate you, man. We did. I probably answered that already. Probably clicking down. And I think I answered that one already. All right, let me see here. Yep, I got time to race through these questions. I got 8 minutes. I can race through these last questions for everybody. All right, Brian. All right, appreciate you, man. Thanks for advising. Hit the like button on that one. Brian, I'm going to go with Charbonnet over Allen here. AJ Brown, Drake. I'm going Drake. Oh, man, it's super tough, super tough. I will put Drake London first, though, because he should get a ton of targets. Cook's a close second. AJ Brown may not get enough targets. That's like an impossible one. Trust your gut on that one, Mr. Penguin. Brian, I'm going to go with Waddle over Jennings. Don't like the Jennings matchup as much. Probably the Steelers. I don't think Kirk's going to implode here. Adams, R2, Cup, Bucky, DJ Moore, John, or Westbrook, Akine. I'll go with Bucky and DJ Moore on that one. That's a tough one as well. I'm going to go with Chubb on that one. Pacheco, Najee, Irving, or Tracy. You need 3. I would sit Tracy in this group. Shane, Bucks, or the Titans defense. I'd probably start I would start the Titans defense. I'd go to Titans defense. I would go with Thielen, Con. Brad, I would go Calvin Austin. I do like Michael Wilson this week, but I would go Calvin Austin. I would go with Drake London. I think he gets double-digit targets here. David, 2 receivers and 2 flex. You got to sit 1. Drake, Higgins, Evans, Judy, and Hopkins. I would sit Hopkins. I don't think his ceiling is there this week. Because McConkey's a true game time decision, I will play Harrison because you can't take a 0. Kelvin Austin would have the green upside tag on him, and I would probably put him right where I have Keon Coleman and Westbrook Akine. That ain't. I put him in the 37 to 40 range, but I have the green upside tag on him. Brian, Jones, Allen, or Charbonnet? Pick 2. I'm going to sit Braylon Allen among those 3. Stafford, Rush, or O'Connell? I'm crazy, but I'm going to go Cooper Rush. He's probably going to trail. Let me see if I got a super chat. Hang on. I got a super chat. Steven, Purdy or Kyler? So I have Kyler as my quarterback 5 with downside. I got my quarterback at 9 as Purdy. Kyler threw for 285 against Seattle last time. So at least there was another home this time. They've played this defense. Purdy has a tough matchup against the Bears. I'd give Kyler the edge, but Purdy is safer. Kyler has more upside, I believe, than Purdy in this one. But if you just need like a straight 15 points and call it a day, it's Purdy. But Kyler has more ranges of outcome that hit higher. So I would start Kyler, but there is downside, as you understood. All right, let's see where I was at. I am on this. All right, who would I pick up? Half PPRs, flex. Elijah Moore, Homer, Isaiah Davis, Calvin Austin. Half PPR is a flex. The safest one of this group would be the running backs and Sarah McCormick. The half PPR hurts some of these receivers. Calvin Austin has the most upside of this group. So if you want to swing for upside, it'd be Austin. If you just want a high floor, it's McCormick. Neighbor, I'm going to go with DJ Moore. Yeah, I think you asked that already. I'm going with Disley in a fabulous matchup. Jason, good morning. Michael. I would do the Ladd with the pivot, and if you could move Ladd to the flex, and if you could pivot to Will Disley or Noah Gray, I would do that over Palmer if you can move him to flex and do that. Brad, Abdullah, McCormick, Bigsby, Isaiah Davis. I would go with McCormick for the floor. Shepard, Pearsall, Jefferson, Washington. I would go with Shepard. Devontae has a higher floor. Cooper is a boom bust place. If you got to shoot for ceiling, then you take a chance on Cooper. If you want a nice solid floor, it's Devontae. All right, and this I really got to go super. I think I answered that. I answered that for you already. All right, third. Swift and standard. DJ Moore and Ridley. Caleb Williams. Morning, Trey. Calvin Austin. Pacheco. That's at pick 4, and I see 2 names. Caleb. Chubb. Only if you have a pivot for McConkey's a game time. If you find any pivot like Disley, put him in a flex. Disley, Noah Gray, then I would go McConkey. Otherwise, you got to go Debo. Appreciate you, Pedro. Pick 3. I would sit the tight end. The other 3 have higher floors. Yes, I would do that. I would pick up Calvin. Hurts. It does. I can't sit. They all could eat. I would go with Waddle on this one, Matt. That's close. Jennings is a higher floor. I go Jennings for that reason. McCormick or Gainwell. I could see Gainwell getting it done, but McCormick is safer because Gainwell's going to have the blowout, which I think will happen. McCormick safer, but I get it if you go Gainwell. But as long as you assume the blowout, Gainwell will do better. All right, got another super chat. Brian. Appreciate you, Brian. Thank you so much. Happy holidays. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, am I near the end here? Oh, I'm at the end? Let me see. Hold on. No, I think it's bounced me down. Let me just make sure I'm at the end, and I got to answer these questions quickly. So, where are we at? All right, here we go. We are going with Jonnu Smith. I'm going to go with Neighbors in that one. If you want to go boom bust, it's Garrett Wilson. Going with Braylon Allen and Sharps. 2-2. So Moore starts, Braylon starts, Najee starts, and you need another receiver, Ridley. Braylon Allen, I would go, and Ladd, it's a true game time decision, so I wouldn't take the risk. I would go with Pacheco on that one. Oh, man, I go with Westbrook on that one. Chuba gets more volume still. I'm going to go with Chuba. That's a tough one. It's not crazy. Trust your gut. Trust your gut on that one. Don't know who MB is. He's that the basketball player? Probably. Neighbors for Joku or Ridley? No, I wouldn't drop him. Keenan Allen. Thanks, everybody. Good luck. See everybody next time. Let's make sure I have no more super chat. Thanks, everybody.